Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrew Bottom, and I am the Global Internship Program Associate Director at the UCLA IO office. I'm here with a lot of my colleagues from the UCLA IO office that are here to answer any questions you might have at the end of the presentation, maybe related to your particular program. But our keynote speaker today is Jan Hastings. He is from the Financial Aid Office on campus, and he will be discussing summer financial aid and scholarships for travel study, global internship, and global cities programs. Just a quick note that this presentation is not meant for UCAP programs. So if you are a UCAP summer student, this presentation is not meant for you. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jan to get the presentation started.
Hi, everybody. As he said, my name is Jan Hastings, and I work in the Financial Aid Office. And for future note, if there is anybody here that's interested in UCAP, I will be doing presentations for those later this month, but we'll send out announcements about that later. But as he said, today's presentation is for the summer 2022 UCLA Study Abroad programs, which are the Summer Travel Study Program, the Summer Global Internships Program, and the Summer Global Cities Program. So I'm going to get right into it. For the UCLA Travel Study Program, who can apply? It's undergraduate students, entering and continuing UCLA students can apply to this program. For graduate students can apply to the UCLA Travel Study Program, but only if the program is required to complete their graduate degree, and they need to submit a signed letter from the department to the Financial Aid Office to prove that the program is necessary. So again, grad students can participate in the travel study program, but you will need to submit a signed letter from your department letting us know that it is necessary for you to graduate. For the Global Internships Program, who can apply? Undergraduate students that are continuing UCLA students who have completed at least 90 units by spring 22. You must be enrolled in order to get financial aid, you must be enrolled in 8 units. If you're less than 8 units, then you're not going to be eligible for financial aid. You can participate in the program, but you won't be eligible for financial aid. You have to have a minimum of 3.0 cumulative GPA. You have to be in good academic standing. And there are some other additional requirements that vary by the program that you're planning on taking. Okay, for the UCLA Global Cities Program, who can apply? Undergraduate students. You have to be a UCLA student in good academic standing. For this program, for the Global Cities, you'll be attending in Session A and Session C. Session A, you'll be taking 2 courses abroad, and in Session C, you will be taking 2 courses here at UCLA. In order to get full financial aid, you will also need to, in Session A, you will need to enroll in a UCLA Summer Session course, and it's Global Studies 140. You'll need to enroll in that to be able to get full financial aid. If you're not interested in full financial aid for the Global Cities Program, then you can just do the 2 courses abroad and sign up for the 2 UCLA classes during Session C. That will give you 8 units, and you'll be eligible for, that would be considered half-time for the purposes of financial aid. Also, to participate in this program, you'll also need to meet the GPA requirement for the host university. Now, to To get any type of financial aid, which includes loans, you will need to do the free application for federal student aid or the California DREAM Act application, whichever applies to your situation. Both applications opened October the 1st, so they're already available. You do need, it's very, very important that it be completed by no later than March the 2nd. If you do it after March the 2nd, then you won't be eligible for university-based aid. The only thing you would be eligible for if you wait until after March 2nd to do either the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act application, you'll only be eligible for, well, state aid and federal aid. So for the FAFSA, the only thing you'll be eligible for will be the federal aid, which is the Pell Grant and loans. For the California DREAM Act application, if you do wait till after March the 2nd, the only thing if you qualify for the Cal Grant, that would be the only aid that you would be eligible for. And actually, you won't. During the summer, the Cal Grant is not available. So if you need to submit the California DREAM Act application, it's important, it's imperative if you want financial aid that you get it done by March the 2nd, if you want aid for the summer. Okay. I'm repeating, you need to submit the 2022-2023 FAFSA or DREAM Act application. And again, it needs to be done by March 2nd, 2022. Now, the application, I just said it's the 2022-2023. That doesn't mean it's good for calendar year 22 and calendar year 23. That means it's good for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30, 2023. So, and summer is the beginning of the academic year. So in order to get any type of aid during the summer, you will need to complete the 2022-2023 FAFSA or DREAM Act application. And again, it's extremely important. I can't stress it enough. It's extremely important that you get it done by March the 2nd. If you do it after March 2nd, then you're limiting the amount of aid that you'll be eligible to receive. Now, in addition to submitting the FAFSA or the DREAM Act application, you also, for the summer travel program and for the Global Internships Program, you will also need to submit a UCLA 2022 Summer Travel Global Internships Financial Aid application. And that needs to be done by April the 1st. Now, that application will be available on My UCLA. It will become it will become available March 1st. And so you have a month within which to do the application. So it'll be open March 1st, and it's going to close on April the 1st. And that's for the UCLA 2022 Summer Travel / Global Internships Financial Aid application. And again, this is not the only, you're doing this along with doing the FAFSA or the DREAM Act application. Now, for those of you that are interested in the Global Cities program, you're not going to be doing you're going to do the FAFSA, but you won't be doing this summer financial aid application, UCLA Summer Financial Aid application. The one that tentatively we may have we'll just do yours manually. But if that's not the case, what we'll have you do is complete the UCLA Summer Sessions financial aid application. But I'll get that information out to you within the next week or so. But it's looking like for those people in the global cities, the only thing you'll need to do is just do the FAFSA, and we'll do the rest of your application manually. And again, for the summer travel and the global internships programs, your financial aid application will become available March the 1st. And you'll go to My UCLA, and then once you're in My UCLA, under the Finance and Jobs tab, you'll click on that. Then once you get into that, you'll click on Financial Aid. Then when you get into that area, then you'll click on Summer Financial Aid Applications. And I'll show you an illustration in a few minutes about how that works. But before we get to that, one key point about financial aid. Financial aid is only awarded, like during the academic year, fall, winter, spring, you can only get aid from one school, for one term. During the summer, you can only get aid for one summer program. And by the example of that is at UCLA during the summer, there are the summer sessions programs, there's the summer travel study, there is the global internships, and there's several others. There's a cross-campus program during the summer. You can only get aid to participate in one of those programs. You can participate in as many as you want, but you're only going to receive financial aid. Your award is going to be based upon only one program. So if you're taking 8, I'm just using this as an example. If you're taking 8 units in the travel study program, and then you get back in time and you're going to take 4 units in the summer sessions, session C, you will not be awarded. Your award will not be based upon 12 units. It's only going to be based upon, you're going to choose. Do you want it to be based upon the 8 units from the travel study program, or do you want it to be based upon the 4 units from the summer session C? But you're only going to get aid. The calculation of your eligibility for the aid will be based upon only one program during the summer. Okay. Now, remember I said you'll go to My UCLA, you'll click on Finance and Jobs, and then once you click on Finance and Jobs, then you'll click on Financial Aid, and then you'll click on Summer Financial Aid Applications, and that will get you to this screen. So again, you're going to go in, log into My UCLA, you're going to click on Finance and Jobs, and once you get into the Finance and Jobs area, you'll see a tab for Summer Financial Aid Applications, and then that will take you to this screen. And then for those of you that are doing the summer travel and global internships, you're going to click on this tab right here where it says Please Apply. Now, the dates will be current, but these are from last year, because the new program doesn't exist yet. But you'll still do this same procedure. You'll go to My UCLA and do this, and when you get there, you're going to click on the summer please apply for the summer travel and the global internships. And then once you do that, it will take you to, it'll take you to this screen. And you'll fill out the screen and you'll let us, this area here. Then you'll go to this area here and you'll pick the, whatever the program is that you're going to be taking. If it's a global internship program, you'll pick the one that you're planning on taking. If it's a summer travel study, you'll pick that program. They'll all be listed here. So you'll pick the appropriate program, and then once you do that, it will lets you know that you have successfully, you'll do that and submit it, and then it will let you know that you have successfully submitted the summer travel financial aid application. If you don't see this, this, notice that says that you successfully submitted it, that means it hasn't been submitted. So that means you need to go, back, or go over it again to make sure, because it's not submitted and it's not complete until it tells you that it's been successfully submitted. Okay. So you're going to do that. You're going to do the FAFSA before March the 2nd. And then based upon, the FAFSA you submit to us, and based upon that summer financial aid application, then we will calculate your eligibility. Now, sometimes when you do the FAFSA, they ask for additional information, which could be the parents or student's tax transcript. It could be a dependent or independent verification form. It could be proof of non-filing. But if we ask for additional information, you'll need to submit that, because we will not process your financial aid until your file is complete, until all the documents have been turned in. So, and you can go to My UCLA, click on Finance and Jobs, and then you can click on Document Tracking to see if there's any additional documents that we're waiting on, before we can process your financial aid. So again, it's important that your file, make sure, your file is complete, because again, until your file is complete, we're not going to start to process because we need all that information in order to determine your eligibility. We can't go off based upon if you turn in one document and start the process, because we need all of it at once. So, again, go out to My UCLA, click on Finance and Jobs, and then go to Document Tracking to see if there's any additional documents we need, and try to get those into us as soon as possible. The sooner you get them in, the sooner we can get started. And if you can get them in prior to April the 15th, that would be best, because then we can guarantee that your award will be done in time for you to receive your money for the summer program. If you don't get it in by April 15th, we're still going to process it, but I can't guarantee that it'll be processed in time for your, to pay for your program in time. Because again, and you have to remember, you're not the only one submitting, documents to us, and we do the files as they're completed. So we do it in the order that they've been completed. So again, that's what I'm saying. If you get it in before April 15th, but forget that I even said April 15th. Go, in fact, you can, if you've already done your FAFSA, you can go to My UCLA and check and see if there's any documents we need. You can go ahead and check that, when you get done with this Zoom. And if I were you, I would also every 2 weeks go to that website to check and see if there's any, if any new documents have been requested. So again, make sure you get all the documents in as soon as possible. That way we can process you sooner. Now, during the summer, summer is different than the academic year, the fall, winter, spring quarters. During the summer, the only aid that we have available is the Pell Grant, the University Grant, and both of those if you're eligible for them, and then loans. And I know you don't want to hear that, but loans are a type of financial aid. So during the summer, there is no there's no Cal Grant, there's no Regents. That's not awarded during the summer. There's no Blue and Gold Grant, during the summer. Again, the only thing that's offered during the summer is the Pell Grant and University Grant. Now, the amount of the University Grant and the Pell Grant, they're based upon the number of units that you're taking. From 8 units is considered half-time, 9 to 11 units is three-quarter time, 12 and above is full-time. If you are full-time and you're University Grant eligible, then you'll get $4,000 in a University Grant. The Pell Grant is based, it's all over the place. It's, it can range from, I believe, $300 all the way up to $2,000. And it is based upon the EFC. If your EFC is less than $5,500, then you'll be eligible for a Pell Grant. And the amount of Pell Grant that you're eligible is based upon, if your EFC is 0, then you'll be eligible for $2,000 in the Pell Grant. And that's for full-time. So remember I said that, let's say your program is only 9 units, that's three-quarter time. So three-quarters of $2,000 is $1,500. So you would, in that case, you would only be eligible for $1,500 of the Pell Grant. If your University Grant, if you're University Grant eligible, full-time is $4,000. If you're taking 9 units, that's three-quarters time. So you would be eligible for three-quarters of the $4,000. You'd be eligible for $3,000 in the University Grant. In that case, if you're taking 9 units and you're also University Grant eligible. The loans would be, excuse me, the loan types are the subsidized loan, the unsubsidized loan, the Parent Plus loan, and Plus loan stands for Parent Loan for Undergraduate Students. And then there's also the private loans. The subsidized loan, you're between all your financial aid will cover up to whatever your cost of attendance is. And I'll get into that on the next screen. But if your program is $9,000, we're going to award you up to $9,000 between the grants and the loans. You will receive, we'll cover everything, and the difference between the subsidized loan, unsubsidized loan, subsidized means that the government is subsidizing the loan. They're paying the interest while you're in school. Interest, there is interest, but you don't have to worry about the interest on the subsidized loan until you're done with school. Once you're out of school, then interest will start accruing for you. But for the unsubsidized loan, the government is not subsidizing. So therefore, interest is accruing on that type of loan from when you initially receive it to whenever you pay it off. Interest is accruing. The Parent Plus loan, that's a loan that your parents will be taking out. And in order to get that loan, your parents will need to, along with you accepting it on the award notification, your parents will also need to do a Plus loan application. And I'll let you know, where that's done a little bit later. And then there's private loans. That's a loan that through a private, it's not a federal loan, and it's through a private institution, such as Wells Fargo, Discover does them, Sallie Mae, but they're known as Nelnet. They do private loans. That's the type of institutions that do that. Okay. Here's an example of how we do the award. Okay, John submitted the FAFSA, and he did it on time. He did it before March 2nd. And John also submitted the summer travel financial aid application and did it before April 1st. So John submitted all the documents on time. John, he also turned in all of his verification paperwork. So all the documents are in, and we're getting ready to process it. Now, John, when he did the FAFSA, his FAFSA, his EFC number is 3,050. 3,050 is less than the 5,050 I told you about. So because it's less than the 5,500, he's going to be eligible for a Pell Grant. Now, he plans on attending the History of Pancakes program. Somebody changed that on me. He plans on attending the History of Pancakes program, which is from June 20 through July 15, 2022. So he's going to be doing this program during session A. He's going to be enrolled in the required units for that program. And the required units for this program is 8 units. So, and remember I said 8 units is half-time, 9 to 11 three-quarter time, 12 and above is full-time. So his program is for 8 units. So he's going to be considered to be a half-time student. Now, the total cost of attendance for the program is $9,200. And remember I said we're going to award John up to the $9,200. Now, as I said, his cost of attendance is $9,200, which is this number here. That $9,200 comes from the program fee is $5,500, and this is what's going to be showing on John's Bruin bill, that $5,500. Now, there's also, in addition to the $5,500 that will show up on the Bruin bill, there's also additional costs of $3,700, and that $3,700 is for like personal expenses, for airfare, for books, for meals, and a little bit of spending money. So what will be due to the Bruin bill is the $5,500, but there's we're allowing for because it's the cost of attending the program, because you're going to we're allowing for airfare, we're allowing for personal expenses such as room and board or things of that nature. So we're allowing an extra $3,700 in addition to this $5,500, and that's how the program cost, the total cost comes to the $9,200. And as I said earlier, we're going to award John up to the $9,200. Now, this is 8 units, half-time, and remember I said full-time for university grant is $4,000. Well, John is only a half-time student, so John is only eligible for $2,000 in the university grant. Now, with an EFC of $3,050, full-time, John would have been eligible for $1,100 in the Pell Grant. But because John is half-time, he's only going to receive $550 in the Pell Grant. So in grant, because John is half-time, he's going to get $2,000 in the university grant, and he's going to get $550 in the Pell Grant. And to cover the $9,200, we're also going to award John $6,650 in loan. Now, John can choose to, decline that if he wants, but then, as the program fees are $5,500. John's only going to get $2,550. So John would have to come up with the difference to cover his program fees, and he would have to come out of pocket to help pay for his airfare or the personal expenses if he chooses not to take out the loans. Now, again, as I said earlier, if you're a dependent student and we've offered you the Parent Plus loan, in order to take out the plus loan, it's not just accepting the plus loan on the award notification. You will have to also have your parents go to studentaid.gov, where they will have to complete a plus application. And the plus application is really, it's just a credit check, because again, the plus loan is based upon credit. Now, the student loans, you automatically qualify for those. So those aren't based upon credit. The subsidized and the unsubsidized loans, they're not based upon credit. You just have to be either a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident to qualify for those loans, and be an admitted student in a degree granting program. Okay. The award notifications, we're going to be, we're hoping to start processing and awarding by mid-May. And the financial aid notifications, they should be released and be available for you to see on My UCLA between mid-May and early June. Now, again, that's if you have done everything prior, and turned in all the documents prior to April the 15th. If you're turning in documents in early May, you're probably not going to get a financial aid notification by June. It'll be sometime in June, but you probably won't. If you turn it in May, you're probably not going to get it in May. It'll probably be sometime in June when you get yours. So that's why I'm saying, make sure you get all documents in prior to April the 15th. Now, when you do finally get your financial aid award notification, the FAN, make sure you review it and follow all the instructions on the FAN. Again, you're going to, because we're going to offer whatever you're eligible for. And it's up to you to accept or decline the different types of aid. If you accept the loans and this is your first time borrowing loans, then in addition to accepting the loans on the FAN, you will also have to complete a master promissory note. And students, you'll also have to complete an entrance counseling. And that's if this is your first time borrowing student loans, then you'll need to do the master promissory note and entrance counseling. And until both of those are done, the loans cannot be dispersed. Now, again, I'm going to repeat myself. If you're offered the Parent Plus loan, you're going to accept it on the FAN, and your parents then have to complete the parent loan the Plus application, again, which is a credit check, and they're going to go to studentaid.gov to do this. And let me back up a little bit. The master promissory, for the students, for your student loan, the master promissory note is located at studentaid.gov. In both cases, like if you're, applying for your loan and doing your master promissory note, your entrance counseling, you will log into studentaid.gov with your user ID and your password. And then you'll go in and complete that information. And then in order for your parents to complete the Plus application, they will have to log in to studentaid.gov with their user ID and their password. If your parents try to go in and log in and do your master promissory note, it's going to fill in the information with their information. It's not going to be, they won't be able to go in and fill it out for you, unless you give them your user ID and your password. Then that's the only way. The Parent Plus loan, you can't go in and complete the Plus application for them. It will need, because again, when you log in, there's information that's carried into the application with that login. It's assuming that whoever's login that is, that's who's doing the PLUS application. So that's what I'm saying. Your parents will need to log in using their FAFSA UID, FAFSA ID and FAFSA password to log in there and complete that. Now, if the parent is a first-time borrower, then in addition to doing the PLUS application, they will also have to complete the master promissory note. It's called a master promissory note because it's good for 10 years. You only need to do it once. So that's your first time that you borrow. That's when the master promissory note needs to be done. It does not need to be done every year. But for the parents, the PLUS application does need to be done every year. Now, some people decide, well, I'm just going to accept the grants. I don't need the loans, or I'll wait and see if I need the loans. You have to accept, in order to receive the loans for the summer, you have to accept it during the summer. If you wait until a week before the summer ends to accept the loans, that's going to be too late. So, you need to decide at least 2 to 3 weeks prior to the term ending and let us know, so that, because there's some steps that, especially like for the PLUS loan, there's steps that have to be done to process it. And it has to be processed prior to the end of the term. If you come to us after the summer term is ended and say, you know what, I want to go ahead and take out that loan, it's too late. Again, the loan, if you decide you want to take out the loans, you do have until the end of the summer, but try to decide, no later than 2 to 3 weeks prior to the end of the summer quarter, and also make sure that you let us know, that this is what you want to do. Because again, there are steps that we have to do, and we have to complete those steps prior to the quarter ending. If the quarter ends and we haven't completed all those steps, then you won't be eligible for the loan. Okay. Now, private loans. Private loans are going to be more for independent students because there is a limit to the amount that you can get in the federal student loans, and independent students can't take out the PLUS loan. So sometimes the only thing available to the independent student is, in addition to the grant, if they're grant eligible, would be the private loan. Private loans take longer to process, at least 2 weeks longer. So if you think you're going to be taking out a private loan this summer, or if when you get the award notification, you need to jump on, and if you're planning on taking the private loan, you need to jump on that as quickly as possible, because again, it's a longer process to complete the private loan. And first of all, you're going to go to the lender and you're going to apply for the private loan through that lender. And by go to them, I'm not talking about go into Wells Fargo Bank. I'm talking about you're going to go onto their website and complete a student education private loan. Because if you go into Wells Fargo Bank, they're just going to take you over to a computer and have you log into their site and do it there. So you might as well do that from the comfort of your home. So you'll have to pick, go through the different lenders and pick the lender that you feel most comfortable with, and you'll need to apply for the private loan through their site. Once they approve you, then they will then contact us and let us know. So that's what I'm saying. That's part of the reason why it takes longer, because you have to apply for the loan with them, be approved, then they will contact us. Now, you can also contact us and let us know, because that way we also know the amount that you really you want, because we may put on the award notification $4,000 in a private loan, but you may only want $2,000. So in addition to doing the application with the private lender and being approved, once you're approved, make sure you also let us know, I applied for the private loan and I was approved, but I only want $2,000 in the private loan. Make sure we're aware of all that, because then that lender is going to send that information to us, and they're going to let us know that you've been approved for $2,000, and then we have to certify that loan, and then we have to send that certification back to the lender, and then the lender is, by federal laws, required to hold on to that for 10 days. It's like a cooling off period, so that they'll send you a disclosure statement, basically say, are you aware you're taking out a loan? And you're going to say yes, and then you have like 5 to 10 days within which that you could change your mind. I mean, you can still change your mind after that, but that's something that the federal government instituted because there were students that for various reasons weren't aware that they were taking out a loan. So this way, they've instituted these so that people have time to think about it. They're aware that they are actually taking out a loan, and it is money they have to pay back. One second. Okay. And this is talking about, again, I mentioned it earlier that you're only going to get, your financial aid is only going to be calculated based upon one program. On the Bruin, but the Bruin bill doesn't distinguish between different programs. It all, whatever you're billed, that's all it sees. You may be billed like for that. John was billed $5,500 for the summer travel program, and then you later decide you're going to take a summer session C, and they put that on the bill. The bill doesn't; it just sees the $5,500 plus that. Let's say it's $1,000. So the bill just sees you owe $6,500. But when financial aid goes in, the bill doesn't, say, well, this money can only be applied towards $5,500. If you're getting $7,000 in financial aid, and it's for session A, and you're anticipating getting back, some money. Let's say, you're getting $7,500, and your program fees are only $5,500, and you're expecting $2,000 back, but you've already enrolled in a session C class that's for $1,000, you're not going to get $2,000 back, because the Bruin bill is going to see $7,000 went in, you owe $7,500 went in, you owe $6,500, and it's going to pull $6,500 from that and then give you a refund of $1,000. The bill is not that sophisticated that it can determine where the money goes in. It just sees money has come in. I'm applying all this money to whatever's owed, and if there's anything remaining, it refunds it to you. So you have to keep that in mind. If you are planning on doing a summer, the summer travel program, it's in session A, and you are also planning on taking a class in summer session C, you might want to wait until you get your refund first before you sign up for the session C. That way you will get the full refund that you're anticipating to help pay for your summer travel program. So again, it's because of the Bruin bill. It doesn't segregate out, the different programs. It just sees this is how much you owe for the summer quarter. And when money goes through, it just it doesn't look and say, well, this is a student loan. It can only be applied to Session A. This is a university grant. It can only be applied, it does not do that. It just sees money coming in. It could be financial aid. It could be you making a payment. It just sees money coming in. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. So the Bruin bill, the way that system just sees money coming in, it uses that money to pay off the balance. So again, this is just, because we've had people in the past that they sign up for all the classes right away, and their bill is, for the example I gave you, their bill is going to be for $6,500, but their summer travel program bill is only $5,500. Again, and we're only going to calculate your award based upon one summer program. So again, what you may want to do, the workaround for this is wait until your financial aid has gone through, paid for the summer travel or the global internships or whatever program it is that your financial aid is for. Wait till it's paid that off, then sign up for any additional classes that you want to, the Session C classes. Okay, we're going to talk about UCLA Study Abroad scholarships. Wilsey, do you want to start here?
Yes, thanks, Jen. Hi, everyone.
Okay.
My name is Wilsey Lear, and I work with the International Education Office, and I manage the great majority of the study abroad scholarships that you're going to see in our website. So as Jen mentioned, financial aid can be quite limited during the summer. So a great way to fund your study abroad program is to apply for scholarships. And you can apply for as many as you think you're eligible for. And the only thing for you to pay attention to is the deadlines. So for UCLA scholarships, the deadlines are coming up in March. So March 1st is when you need to have all your applications finished and submitted. And we have a number of merit-based and need-based scholarship opportunities. So if you visit our website, which is ieo.ucla.edu/scholarships, you're going to see scholarships for your programs, and also scholarships that are from external providers. Next slide. Okay, so that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go to the website, you're going to see these tabs. And we divided the scholarships into two groups. One is the program-specific scholarships. So if you're going to a UCLA travel study program or your internship or UCEAP Global Cities, you just go to that tab and click on that plus sign, and it will open up the opportunities of UCLA scholarships available for that program. And also we have external scholarships. There are national scholarships that I'm going to talk about the Gilman a little bit later. And also we have divided like country and region specific scholarships that will be easy for you. If you're going to Germany, for example, you just go and look for Germany and see what kind of scholarships are available for that country. And then you have directories and database that you can do your search for external scholarship opportunities as well. Next. Okay, so I only opened one of the tabs for you to have an idea. So if you open any of those tabs that are program specific, you're going to see a list of scholarships available for that program. And under that, there is a small description of the requirements for the scholarship. And if you click on the name of the scholarship, you will go to the page that has all the information, what that scholarship is all about, who are eligible to apply, and how to apply. The important part is the majority of the scholarships that you will see there, you will apply on the UCLA Scholarship Portal. But there are some scholarships that are offered and managed by different departments on campus. And some of them may have their own application process. So it's important for you to click on the name of the scholarship, to go to the page and see the information on how to apply. Next. And this is the UCLA Scholarship Portal. It's ucla.academicworks.com. And as I said, if you go to the scholarship page, it will have at the end, at the bottom of the page, the link to come to this site. And you just sign in with your UCLA login. And you will see, once you go to the first page before you sign in, you will see all the scholarships listed and the deadlines that are coming up. So if you see the first one, Global Internship Program, we just closed the application. The deadline was on the 4th of February. But the other scholarships that are study abroad related, the scholarship is going to be, the deadline is going to be March 1st. The beauty of this portal is that if you submit your general application, you may qualify for other scholarships offered by UCLA that you didn't even know about. Some of them are auto match. So if you meet the requirements for that scholarship, you may receive that scholarship as well. So I would strongly advise you, even if you are not planning to apply for a study abroad scholarship, to submit your application on the site for the regular UCLA scholarship application. One thing to keep in mind, the UCLA portal, the scholarship portal, it will close applications for the 2021-2022 academic year mid-March, and it will reopen again for the next cycle. So if you're interested in applying for scholarships for next academic year, I would advise you to wait until they reopen, because everything gets archived, and that all the applications until mid-March. There are a few exceptions depending on department, as they work with financial aid and scholarships. So that's why it's very important for you to go to the page of the scholarship and see when you need to apply and how you apply for that specific scholarship. And just a note, if you are a Pell Grant recipient, I would strongly advise you to apply for the Gilman Scholarship. It's a national scholarship, and the deadline is also March 1st. If you go to the IEO website, there is a banner on the very top of the page, and it will have a link straight to the Gilman page. Or you just go to Google and type Gilman Scholarship, and it is a great opportunity, and their awards are up to $5,000. So if you have questions about scholarships, keep an eye for an email from the IEO office that is going to be sent to you next week. And in that email, I will also give you some drop-in info session options. I will be available to answer any questions you may have regarding scholarships, and you will get all that information in an email that is coming from our office next week. Okay, Jen, I am done with scholarships, so you can go to the next slide.
Okay. And he was talking about the Gilman, that's Gillman. And that's a federal scholarship. And as she said, it's if you are Pell Grant eligible, it can be up to $5,000. So, make sure you check that out.
Real quick, Jan, before you go on, I just wanted to make note of the time. I know it's about 5 o'clock. We may end up going a little bit over that, just I know there's lots of questions, and Jan's about to get into some frequently asked questions to help hopefully resolve any uncertainty. Just a read note, we will be posting this presentation to the application portals for all the different summer study abroad, travel study, global internships, and global cities. And we'll post as well the PowerPoint presentation if it's easier to flip through that. So just note that if you have to go at 5, I know a few people have class, just note that we will have that posted there to review by next week.
Okay. Okay, now, some frequently asked questions, and this is real important. What if you want to cancel the program? For the global internships, you have until February the 16th to cancel the program. Well, 11:59 p.m. on February the 16th. If you cancel after that time on that date, you're going to be responsible. You're still going to be responsible for the full program fee. For the travel study program, you must cancel by 5 p.m. on April the 6th. And for the global cities, it's also, well, no, this one is 11:59 p.m. on April the 6th. If you want to cancel those programs and not be responsible for the full program fees, you must cancel by those times. So again, and if you decide to cancel, please contact the study abroad office and also let the financial aid office know as well. But again, those are important dates and times. So if you're going to decide, decide you don't want to do the program, make sure that you do it prior to these times here. And a lot of people want to know, can I get a lot of people want to know what their award is going to look like, and can they get an estimate? I really can't give you an estimate more than what I've already given you. If you're university grant eligible and you're taking 8 units, then it'll be $2,000 in the university grant. If you're taking 9 to 11 units, then it's going to be $3,000 in the university grant. And if you're taking 12 units or more, then it's going to be $4,000 in the university grant. The amount of your Pell Grant is based upon your EFC and the number of units that you're going to be taking. And again, either if you're full time, then you're going to get $4,000 plus whatever your Pell Grant amount is, and then the rest of your program total program cost will be in loans. And normally during the summer, it is pretty much loan heavy because a lot of the programs are 8 units, 9 units. There are a lot of programs that are not full-time programs. So because of that, you're getting less in aid. For travel study, will my financial aid eligibility be greater if I take an optional course or additional courses during the same session as my program? And remember I told you, the only courses that we will look at to determine and calculate your aid eligibility are courses that are specifically designed for your program that you're taking. Like for travel study, there are optional courses that you can take, which is the 199 courses. The only thing is, with travel study, we won't calculate your eligibility based upon the 199 with those additional courses until after the summer's over and after you receive grades. And some of that is because in the past we've had people that signed up for these to get the additional money and then they dropped the course. So what we've done is said, okay, once we see that you've completed the course, then we will increase your financial aid by, for that. And then the other thing is some people think this is going to give them additional financial aid. It does give you additional financial aid, but your bill will also be larger because you're taking more units. So you're going to be charged for those units. So yes, you're going to get more financial aid, but the cost of the program will also be more. The cost of the program is going to go up by the amount of that $199 course. So if you're doing it just for the purpose of hoping that you'll have more refund money, then no, it's not going to give you additional refund money because again, your cost is going to be higher. Now, for the Global Cities program, remember I told you you're going to be taking two classes, through the host school. Let's say you're going to, I believe Madrid is one of the programs. You're going to Madrid and you're in session A, you're taking two classes there. Then you're going to come back here and take two classes through UCLA. You're only going to be credited with 8 units because the two classes over there are they're not being taught by a UCLA professor. So you're only going to get, our financial aid will be calculated based upon the 8 units that you're going to be taking here. In order to, be considered a full-time student, if you also, in addition, during session A, you take the Global Studies 140, then we'll calculate your aid based upon you being a full-time student. Because when we go online and look, we will see that you enrolled during the summer at UCLA in 12 units. And those 12 units will be for the Global Cities program. So then in that case, then we will consider you to be a full-time student. So if you're doing this Global Cities and you want to be considered a full-time student, make sure that you also sign up for Global Studies 140. Now, your aid is being calculated based upon approved courses that are associated with your program. Like for that Global Studies 140, that's the only program that we're going to take into consideration for the Global Cities program to look at you being full-time. If you take some other course, then that doesn't count because that's not an approved course for your program. The only approved course for the program for the Global Cities is that Global Studies 140. Same thing with travel study. If we will look at the 199, but if you try to take another class at UCLA to bring your units up to full time, we're not going to take those in because they won't be approved courses associated with your program. And the same thing goes for the global internships. It has to be, for global internships, the optional courses CESC 130 and Econ 199A, those can be used to take into consideration to calculate your aid for the Global Internships Program. If you are taking some other course and it's not an approved course for your program, then those units will not be used to calculate your aid eligibility. Okay, what if my program is canceled or I withdraw from the program? Your financial aid is when we calculate it and you're awarded, it's based upon the assumption that you're going to complete X number of units and that you're also going to complete the entire program. So when we calculate and say, I'm like earlier, I just said that for John, he was eligible for $2,000 in the university grant and the $550 in the Pell Grant. That's assuming, we're also making an assumption that he's going to complete the whole program. If he doesn't complete the whole, and he withdraws halfway through, then he hasn't earned the full $2,000 or the full $550. So then we have to do a proration to, we'll do a calculation to determine how much of the financial aid John has earned. So if you withdraw or cancel from the program prior to the program ending, then we have to recalculate the amount of aid that you're eligible to receive. Because financial aid is like an advance. And again, we are advancing the money to you rather than waiting to the end of the quarter to find out which, how many units you completed, or, we're giving you an advance. And again, we're making an assumption of how many units you're going to complete and an assumption that you're going to complete the entire program. So if you don't complete the entire program, we will have to recalculate your eligibility, and you could possibly owe some of that money back. Okay, and the best way, because our office, we're on a hybrid schedule, and we're working remote mostly. Like today, I'm on campus, but at the most, I'm on campus is 2 days a week. I work from home. So the best way to contact us is through the financial aid office, is through the message center. And when you go in, you can go to financialaid.ucla.edu, go to our website, and at the top there's a contact us tab. Hit that, and then once you get in that screen, you can click on the message center, and you can send a message to us, and the subject of the message would be summer travel. And then that way it'll get to the appropriate financial aid counselor, because not all the financial aid counselors handle the summer travel program. So if you have a question, you can send it to us via the message center, but make sure in the subject you put that your question is regarding summer travel. And again, there's other information that you can look at on our website, which is financialaid.ucla.edu.